Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our first coffee break of the new school year. We have a slightly later start time because we were trying to encourage our Thurston parents to drop off a bit early and be able to get here by 8:30. But we might have some people coming in a bit late. I know that we have a few new attendees here today. So I thought I would just, before I introduce all our leaders, you should hear from them, just give a little brief overview of Coffee Break. Coffee Break is the parent education arm of the PTA Council. We have our meetings here thanks to Aliso Creek Inn and Golf Course. They donate this room to us. And then your donations pay for coffee and croissant. We are supported by grants from School Power. Thank you very much. I see Sam Washer here. Thank you very much. And we are also supported very kindly by all the PTAs from the 4 schools that have contributed more this year than ever before. So thank you to all our PTAs. We are hoping to get a grant from the Laguna Beach Community Foundation. And then we also have our fundraising flyers at the front. And we also have a PayPal on our Coffee Break website, which is www.gotocoffeebreak.com. So I know that very good speakers are very expensive, so it's always wonderful to have some help from wherever we can get it. One of the things I was going to say is we do have a website, and we decided to have a website for parents that couldn't be here today. A lot of parents are working and get to watch it at home. But it has meant that our attendance has been down, and we can see that everyone prefers to just take their time and watch it whenever they can. But it's not great for our speakers who take their time out to be here, and then we don't have a full audience. So I'm going to encourage you to please all be here in person rather than watch it at home. We have a Facebook. Please like us at Facebook. It's Laguna Beach Coffee Break. And on the tables are evaluation forms. If you could take a minute to just give us some feedback, tell us if there's anything that you'd like to hear about this coming year. If you have any leads for speakers, we would appreciate that. I know that we're the lucky ones to have our children in this district, and we're going to hear how lucky we are in a few minutes. But one of the things that I wanted to encourage was when I was at the Thurston PTA meeting the other day, I was quite shocked at how few parents knew what the Common Core standards were. And while we have a great school district and we leave most of the decisions to them, I think it's still really important for parents to know what's going on in education, the new trends, innovations, things that are working, things that are not working. So rather than sit back and... actually, I'm preaching to the choir here because I know that you probably are the ones involved in all areas of your children's schooling anyway. So I should probably put this on the website. But I'm going to encourage you to stay involved. And I know that we have, in November, we have some elections coming up. And we've got lots of candidates that are going to be standing up and telling us what they stand for. And I think it's really important to take the time to find out what that is so that when it gets time to make the decision that you are informed. A couple of things. There are some great documentaries that are out that I just wanted to tell you about because a lot of them are actually happening very close to home. On Sunday, South Coast Theatre is having a free screening of Behind the Orange Curtain. If you've not heard about this documentary, it's about the prescription drug abuse epidemic that's going on. And in 2010, it said 1 in 20 people, 12 and older, that's about 12 million people, use prescription painkillers. 40 dying every day. That sounds just terrible. And Laguna's the high school kids, some of them are involved in, it's called National Prescription Take Back Day. And it's at the Laguna Beach Unified School District parking lot on September the 29th. And if you go through your cupboards and you find prescription medications that you're not using, or you have friends that you could tell about, you could drop them off at the high school parking lot. and they'll be disposed of properly. So that's Sunday the 23rd at 3 p.m. at South Coast Theatre. The next documentary is Finding... Kate.
Just want to say, Orange Curtain refers to Orange County. The stories in that film are local stories, real people that you will see and scenes you will see. I saw it at the Newport Beach Film Festival. Highly recommend it.
And Cindy, you might say that South Coast Cinema is our little theater downtown.
Yes, South Coast Cinema, the little movie theatre downtown. Very kind of you. Didn't hear that one. But Finding Kind is another documentary that was released, I think, almost 2 years ago, made by 4 girls. It's about bullying, and it's about why girls are so mean. And it's supposed to be brilliant. I haven't seen it, but there's a showing at St. Mary's School, which is in Aliso Viejo, September the 20th. That's Thursday. I know that conflicts with Top of the World Back to School night, 6:30. But Finding Kind actually have a website, so if you don't see it there, they list all their screenings. And it's a movie that I would really like to bring to review it to our parents. Pardon? Finding Kind, yes. And the last one is The Bully Project. The movie is called Bully. I saw it at the Newport Beach Film Festival. It was very interesting. Unfortunately, the topic is mainly in southern states, bullying in southern states, but another great documentary. I would definitely take my children to see it. And we are going to try and bring that to Laguna as well.
So is it the one that changed the rating from R?
Yes. Yes, yeah, they did. It had an R rating, and there was such an uproar because so many children weren't going to be able to see it that they actually changed it.
Excuse me, is Finding Kind also one for
Yes,
kids? I mean,
yes,
okay,
Finding Kind
for
is
girls.
definitely one for, and I think not only girls.
Right,
right.
right.
I think for boys as well. I was talking to Jenny about bringing it to town, and when I thought about girls versus boys, I know my middle school boy is completely confused. He's like, Mom, girls are crazy. You know? So I think not only for girls, I think anyway. We are very privileged to have so many leaders who have taken out of their days, thank you so much, to be here with us today. We have our Superintendent, Shalene Smith, our new Assistant Superintendent, Denny Christensen. Who do we have next? Chris Dunny, he is the principal of El Morro. Unfortunately, Ron Lamont is not going to be here today. He's having surgery, but I'm going to give you a little update on what he said. Jenny Solberg, she is the principal of Thurston. I'm sure everyone knows that. Dr. Culverhouse, principal of the high school. Victor Guthrie, Chief Technology Officer over there. Shannon Soto, Director of Fiscal Services. And Dean West, who is the Assistant Superintendent of Business Services. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you. I like to wander, so I hope that's okay. No, I won't wander very far.
You're allowed.
I just like to pace a little bit. As I was introduced, I am privileged to be the superintendent of Laguna Beach Unified School District. It's an honor to serve in this district and work with such great board members, administrators, teachers, and families. I am not a candidate, but I do have a place where I stand, and what I stand for is a high-quality education, and that's what we deliver here in Laguna Beach Unified, what I love to call the gold standard of education. And that is because we have, as I just referenced, all of the elements of a successful school district. And there is a lot of research out there about the elements of an outstanding school district. We have all of the elements. We have a strong supportive parent base. We have a community that gives us an amazing amount of support. We have outstanding leaders, outstanding leadership, amazing teachers, and very good support staff. All of those combined allow us to offer the gold standard of education. And I am on cloud nine. I said this yesterday at the El Morro PTA meeting because we have outstanding results. And the first week of October, we will get the official results from the state of California about how we did on our standardized tests, the STAR test, the California Standards test. We know already, we have the raw data, the raw scores, and so we know we've done well. And we contracted with a couple of companies that do estimations. They crunch all the data, they do the analysis, etc. And they have told us we have made nice growth this year. And we just, because it's an estimate, it's not the fact yet, I can't tell you what that is other than to say I'm really excited and I'm on cloud 9. As you know, we just went through the Olympics, I will go ahead and take the liberty of comparing us to an Olympic athlete. When you are performing at really high levels, it's very hard to get to the next level. I mean, you are at the top level, so where do you go from there? So we constantly have to examine our practices, reflect on our data, take input and feedback from everybody about what's happening in our school district, and continually improve. It's a process, it's a complex process, it's an energizing and fun process. Sometimes not so fun, but mostly it's fun. We have people here I have been so privileged to work with and to hire a few of them. And they are talented, enthusiastic, smart, committed, dedicated. The ones who have been here in Laguna Beach for a while, they have the history and the continuity, and you know who they are and you know what they do. They are amazing leaders. The new people that we were able to steal away from other school districts, we were able to cherry pick. Now, the upside for Laguna of all of the very dire fiscal situations up and down the state for school districts is that they have to downsize and they have to lay off teachers, administrators, etc. We, because we had a wave of retirements, we were able to cherry pick teachers over the past couple of years, and this year, administrators for cabinet. So we have amazing talent, and I was able to build a team that has complementary strengths because no one person has it all. And together, we form a leadership team that I believe will serve our children well. Later, Demi's going to talk about the core, the Common Core. That's one of the things that we're going to be moving forward on. And each of the principals will talk about what's going on at their schools. Victor will talk a little bit about technology. And Shannon and Dean will talk about the budget. Now, the budget news isn't great for us, but we're good. We're solid. We have experienced somewhat over $6 million in reductions over the past 5 years. And depending on what happens in November, we could experience another over approximately $1.5 million to put us at slightly over $8 million in reductions over the past 5 years. And between one thing and another, we have managed to have those cuts be invisible to you and really make sure that we protect the things that parents really want in the school district, which is small class sizes in primary. Oh, we actually, compared to other districts, we have small class sizes across the board. But especially, we can say, and I'm not sure any other school district in Orange County can say this now, that we have 20 to 1 in first, second, third. We have small sizes in other classes as well. In our secondary classes, we tend to, depending on student enrollment, some classes are bigger, some are smaller. That's just the nature of secondary master schedules. One of the things I want to say to you is this doesn't happen by accident. We are all, you know how it goes, we're trained professionals, so we are. And we don't just randomly decide what we're going to focus on. We focus on efforts that are based on research. And this is our canon, or this is our, these are the works that really influence us in how we drive our district forward. One is called Results Now by Mike Schmoker, and this will be maybe just a little bit dry, but I'll run through it really quickly. He is one of the national leaders in school reform and improving schools. Professional learning communities at work. You've heard about the professional learning communities in our schools. Our professional learning communities are very powerful ways for our schools to bring improvements into the school organically. Because if you've ever been or worked in a place where there's a top-down situation, and I've been a middle school principal and a high school principal, I could say by fiat, okay, teachers and staff, here's what we're going to do. And they'll do it to one degree or another, but when I'm gone, all of that disappears. But if you build the capacity, if you build the understanding and interest and commitment with your entire school, and your school district, then it's organic to your staff, it's organic to your district, and it stays. It's not something that then disappears and the next new thing comes along. On Common Ground includes, it's basically a series of essays by the leaders in the educational field, including Roland Barthes and Michael Fullen, Doug Reeves, Jonathan Saphir, and others. Really, really profound works. Good to Great, which is actually not an education book, it's a business book written by Jim Collins, who I think is a Stanford business professor. And what he posits is that organizations, and again, not about school district, but organizations that are successful are the ones who focus on doing one thing well. And he has case studies in there, and he uses the terms hedgehog and the fox to distinguish the two. So the organizations that are very, very successful and stay in business, they adopt the hedgehog metaphor, which is we focus on one thing, and we do that really well. And once we're the fox, it's always going after the glittery object. Let's do this now, let's do this now. Oh, this is exciting, this is the new trend. And those businesses tend to fade away or fail because they didn't focus on their core business. And we've seen many examples over the past 10 years about businesses who didn't focus on their core business and have had to make some pretty radical changes. Some of them went out of business, and big ones at that. Our core business in this district is education, and that's the one thing we want to do well. We want to do everything well, but not by imposing on our focus or taking away our focus from education. So there are many things that are important, but our core business is education, and that's what we are going to continue to focus on, and we ask your support with that. And strangely enough, I have a book here called Focus, Elevating the Essentials, and this book talks about what it is we should truly be focusing on in our schools, in the classrooms. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to hand this over to Denny because I want you to be able to hear all of these without any rush. It takes everybody in this room, and it starts with, for me, the school board, because they set the vision for the district, and they enable me and allow me to be the leader of the school district, and they support me, and I certainly have dialogue with them, but I can't do my job with these people and be the leader for these people and have them do the great things they do in their schools without the school board. These people are all very strong leaders. You see them in action, and each one of them has gifts unique to them that they bring to their school. And again, when you see the test results, which are just one measure, we have the whole child philosophy, we have music, we have drama, we have band, we're working on our orchestra, we have athletics, we have many things, but the results that were measured by the state test results will show that we are doing a wonderful job. And then all of you in the room, the parents, I said this at El Moro PTA yesterday. When I was at the El Moro Back to School night, a woman came up to me, and when I was a middle school principal, her father was a science teacher on my staff. So she has 2 children at El Moro, and she said, do you think the reason why this school district is so different and so great is because of the parent involvement? And I said, absolutely. Look at this. We don't see the same level of parent involvement in other school districts. And I was in Capistrano, but I also worked up in Fullerton where there are some pretty high performing, it's a high school district, so Troy High School, Sunny Hills High School, etc. Those are involved parents too, but not to the level we have here. And partly I think it's because we have a small town, which has geographic boundaries and an identity as a small town. But I also, this is my latest theory, is that Laguna attracts a certain kind of personality and passion. And if you feel that way, you're just kind of drawn to Laguna, you want to live here. And as a result, we have people, parents, who are very passionate about schools, about their children, and about supporting what we're doing in an outstanding public school. So I thank you for that. What you do is so important. And we need to continue to work together so that we can indeed continue to provide the gold standard of education. Thank you. I will now give it to Demi.
In a small room like this, I have trouble with the microphone because I tend to pop my peas and you'll be putting your fingers in your ear. So I'm going to use my basketball coach's voice, and if anybody has any trouble hearing me, I will talk louder or I will use it. I turned it off. I want to talk to you just a little bit this morning, first of all, about what it's like to come to Laguna Beach Unified School District. I can't tell you how excited I was to be chosen for this position. I think we are poised to be the leader in the state in implementing the Common Core standards, and that's mainly what I want to talk about this morning. But first, I want to just thank you all for taking the time out of your day to be here, because what I've learned in the short 10 weeks that I've been here is that we have incredible parents who are involved at all of our schools, and you are the shakers and movers that help us with the mission that we have to educate children. And with that, I want to talk to you this morning about what I've seen in my 20 years in education. When I first graduated from college, my degree was in business and English, and so I spent 10 years in the private sector. And what I will tell you is that the Common Core represents, I think, the most exciting movement in public education in the last 30 years. Because I think it's going to focus on what our students need to be college and career ready, and to maintain or reestablish, in some cases, our global competitiveness for our society and for our kids, that they'll be employable workers. And that's an important thing to have, is students who can actually do the work that companies need, and who can actually go to college and be successful. And in some ways, the standards movement that we've been working with for about the past 10 years was a great first start. Because what it did was it said, you know what, states, you first have to say what it is you want kids to know. And it shouldn't be different in everybody's U.S. history class what kids are expected to know. There should be some level of consistency. So I applaud the standards movement and what we've done so far, but what we've seen is that the standards movement had each individual state decide what their standards were going to be. And as you can well imagine, with 50 states, there were a lot of differences in what that was. And in addition, it allowed each state to set its own bar for what proficient was. So, now let's see. What's the problem with that? Okay, if you allow me to tell you what the standards are, and also to tell you what proficient is, with no objective measure, then how do you compare one state to another? Well, the truth is you really can't with the current system. So the Common Core addresses that. Each state that's adopted the Common Core, and right now there are 45, they have a very common understanding of what the standards are. However, each state can add 15% to the Common Core standards for things that they feel that they'd like to have included that aren't already included. The great part is California started with some of the best standards in the country. They were one of, I think, 4 states that were given the top rating for their state standards. So in many ways, the California standards and the standards from states like Massachusetts really did focus the conversation and lead the way for developing of the Common Core. But as I said, there'll be 15% that states can add. And again, it will establish what is proficient. And so then when you compare, say, Texas to California, it will be a real comparison and not an artificial one. So that's exciting right there to begin with. But more importantly than that, the Common Core goes back and it says, hey, we've been teaching standards for about 10 or 12 years now, and what we've noticed is that we've been teaching a whole lot of things, a whole lot of knowledge, and not as many skills. So students had the ability to have rote understanding of factual information, but when asked to use it and synthesize it and put it to practice, they're unable to do that. Now, as you all know, because you've all worked in the working world, you know that the most important thing is not recall. If you forget a formula or you forget a fact, you can look it up. But if you can't use information and communicate and write and put things to practice, then what real focus and what real purpose does the knowledge have? So in many ways, like I said to start, this is the most exciting thing to happen in about the last 30 years, I think, in public education. So let me dig into a little bit more specifics. The Common Core started with a movement by the state governors and the leaders of school districts. It is not nationalized education. So make no mistake about it, it's not the federal government coming in and saying, hey, this is what all states are going to do. It was led by state governors and adopted by each state. And as you know, 5 states have not yet adopted. I think that the 4 main words that I would use to describe the goals of the Common Core are depth and complexity and rigor and relevance. If students do not understand concepts in depth, then they can't use them. So while they might be able to recall the Pythagorean theorem, if they don't know when to apply that, it's useless. And yet, we focused a lot in education on memorizing these theorems and these formulas and so forth. There's a certain theory that says, hey, we'll present you the formulas and we'll even give them to you on the test. Here are the formulas, but pick the right one. That's the real skill, right? Is can you pick the right formula and know when to use it? Similarly, we want tasks where students have to use information and where they have to produce a product, not just answer a bubble sheet. And there's 7 habits of mind that the Common Core focuses on. First, independent learners, that students can independently use and recall information, and not just at the rote level. Secondly, that they have strong content knowledge. Third, that they can meet the varying demands of their audience and the purpose for which they're developing a product. Fourth, that they are able to comprehend and not just critique. As we all know, kids are great about critiquing, right? They critique everything every day. But they have to be able to also comprehend at very high levels, be able to take information in and truly comprehend it. They have to value evidence as opposed to opinion, right? Everyone can have an opinion, and an opinion can be well-informed opinion or just an opinion. So students have to learn the difference, especially in the digital age, with evaluating sources of data and saying, that's a biased source that I just looked at on the internet that says whatever. And I had students, when I was an English teacher, write papers, and their whole paper would be supported by a website that was not a legitimate website. And so you have to teach them to be good consumers of information. They have to be very comfortable using technological resources and digital media. And finally, they have to be able to understand other cultures and other perspectives. So those are the 7 habits of mind that are embedded in the Common Core. You can't get through it all. And the kids understand things, at a mile wide but only an inch deep. And this movement is about teaching kids things maybe 3/4 of a mile wide and 3/4 of a mile deep, which, as you know, is where real learning takes place and where you can really use your knowledge as opposed to just rote memorization of facts. So with that, I would like to give you an opportunity maybe to ask some questions that you have about the Common Core, which hopefully I can answer.
I'm thrilled. Thank God she's only in 5th grade. we got all this ahead of us. What happens? How does it all get implemented? What do we see?
It doesn't have to be fully implemented until 14-15 school year.
Okay.
So we are in the process, and by the way, we are ahead of other districts. We're in the process of transitioning to the Common Core. We will still have the California Standards Test for the next 2 years, and then in 14-15 we will start the Common Core. So we are transitioning. We're doing professional development for our teachers, but what you will start to see as parents is you will start to see that your students are asked to produce more products. And they're not just asked to do 50 problems in algebra and come home with 50 problems of just solving algorithms. There'll be information like, I looked at a really great example of a Common Core project yesterday that had integrated parts from all core content areas, and it was on wind energy. And students are asked to look at wind energy in their science classrooms, understand it, research it. Then they're asked to calculate wind volume and stuff of a turbine. And then they're asked to present a paper to argue for wind energy versus solar energy, or vice versa. So the product is integrated, and it's utilizing the knowledge that they gain in science to then produce something. And the focus is on argumentation rather than persuasion. And those of us that know teenagers know they're already really good at arguing. But the argumentation piece is really important. Persuasion relies mostly on emotional arguments. Argumentation, as people who are attorneys know, rely more on factual information that comes from factual sources. And our students have become very good persuaders and not very good arguers. And except with us at home. My daughter's brilliant. But with schoolwork, it's all, oh, I feel bad for this or that. It's all about feelings. Well, It's teaching kids that they have to use argumentation and facts. So you'll start to see a more sophistication of using knowledge and producing products over the next 2 to 3 years. I'm sorry, I'm going out of order.
So just to understand that a bit better, does that mean the implementation is going to start now in the classroom gradually, or
Yes. It's a
we'll
gradual
start seeing
process.
it even though it won't be completely implemented until 2015?
Yeah, and you'll start seeing it as a gradual process. There's an awareness. There's a lot of staff development to do. We have had teachers this past summer go through staff development. We have staff development activities this year. Orange County Department of Ed is providing some resources for school districts. There will be a time while we are in this limbo phase where we're still being tested by this one instrument, and yet we have to continue to move away from what really would make us most effective on that particular testing instrument in anticipation that the new testing instrument 3 years from now is where we need to go. So it's a tricky balancing act, but I think we're up for that challenge.
I'm really curious when you describe the way they're going to do the reassessments and how they're going to have this really intelligent computer process where they're going to be able to rejigger questions based on responses. And I know you can't really address it now, but is there a book or a pamphlet or something that we can look into for more information about this?
If you go online, anybody can do this. You can Google Common Core state standards. You will get a richness of resources. You'll get more than you ever wanted to know, probably. Same thing if you Google Smarter Balance Assessment Consortium, SBAC. The Smarter Balance Assessment Consortium has information on there that any citizen can read about. And it talks about how the assessments are being developed. It's quite honestly, it's the most exciting and the most scary part because it's so new that you would be able to test students in this manner. So honestly, it is emerging and it is something that we keep a very close eye on. Victor keeps a very close eye on the technology that's going to be involved, and we can't wait to see some of the what do they call them? The beta tests that are going to come out starting next year, where they'll test certain things with certain school districts to see how things work and so forth. It'll be a refining process for sure.
I'm just concerned about how we as a school district that always start every discussion at the beginning of the year with the results, the standardized test results, and how wonderful it is. How are we going to wean ourselves away from that heroin and readjust over these next couple of years? I think of that as a kind of challenge for our teachers.
It is a challenge, and quite honestly, there could be a reset button that's going to happen in 14-15 where school districts are all going to see their percentiles drop somewhat because it's a whole new paradigm that we're shifting toward. It's the right thing to do, absolutely, without question. But we can't, like you say, we can't be so attached to results that we don't do the right thing. We will get our results, I promise you. In this school district, with these leaders as our principals and with the quality of the teaching staff that we have, there is absolutely no doubt that results will come. But if there is a blip, it will not just be Laguna Beach Unified, I promise you that. And secondly, it's the right thing to do. And so we cannot focus on one thing at the expense of doing what is the right thing. And that's, I think, the message that we need to all have when we start seeing our first results.
My question is, how do you decide how to implement and which best practices to use and who's really making those decisions? And also, as a parent, my anxiety is that, I think this is an amazing thing and I want it implemented and I want it implemented now. And for me, 2 years is really far away, and I know obviously
Can I
it's
say,
huge.
we've started implementing, Denny's only been here 2 weeks, so she can't really speak to the past, but the principals here, they'll be glad to give you some examples.
I know last year,
Yeah, so I'm going to turn it back over to you.
I don't need to say that she's saying it's going to be such a long process, but last year, you guys introduced the Common Core and told everybody that this is what's going to happen, and it was actually passed in 2010, and one of the main components is, of course, critical thinking and all those, great 21st century skills. But so last year you had discussed how you were going to do more. It was really focused on critical thinking, and you're going to do more to get critical thinking in the classrooms. One, I wonder, what's been done and how has that been implemented from last year? I know this is a huge question, but, and what are the plans, and how do you make
It is a
those
huge
decisions?
question, and I am
what
gonna let-
about- And the fact that also, 27 states have opted out of No Child Left Behind and have just dumped them. And it seems like so many people are kind of so far ahead as far as implementing. And you say we're ahead of so many, but they're also...
If people can write whatever they want, but I promise you, there's not a lot of people that are farther ahead than what we are doing in this district right now. And in terms of, you don't have the option of just dropping the California state standards right now. You don't have that option. You can't just say, we're not going to do this. But you can transition to the Common Core. And I know each principal will talk a little bit about what specifically has been done so far to increase the rigor in the classroom, and also the high level of expository text and reading and writing, and cognitively guided instruction for math and so forth. So there's been a lot of things done. And I would like to let them give an example of their own side as to what they've done so far, because as Shireen said quite rightly, I've only been here 10 weeks, and those are the experts. But I think that over the next 3 years, we're following the recommended timeline that has been recommended by Orange County Department of Education, and we are ahead of where I think that most school districts are right now. And what you'll see happening over the next 3 years is you will see that the comprehension and the use of rigorous text and the use of argumentation over persuasion, comprehension skills, and skills-based, project-based learning is going to increase. And with that, it's not as scary as it sounds. It really isn't. In some ways, I think people are a little too panicky about it. But again, I'm going back to it's more about how we're teaching kids, and going back to perhaps the way a lot of us were taught. At least I was in the late 70s and early 80s. It was much different than what we've been doing for the last 10 years.
A couple of things. First of all, I feel very fortunate that my son is at El Moro, and I want to compliment Principal Detty. He's done a great job, and the staff there is pretty amazing. So, having said that, and connecting it to the Common Core, what I think are very similar to RTI, and RTI work that's being done in the classrooms, which is very impressive at El Moro. I'm fortunate my son's only in the 3rd grade. My concern would be having supervised a project-based, very successful high school, that you have staff at the middle school and high school level that may not be able to work in a complementary way to implement Common Core. And have you, I know you're only here for 10 weeks or so, but have you started looking at staffing and working together so that teachers are actually working together across?
The great part is the professional learning community model has that systemic process in place already. So it's not new for our teachers to work across curriculum and within each other in teams. This will be about expanding that and taking it to the next step. Will there be teachers that will struggle, or that will just absolutely have trouble and not want to do this and want to go in their room and close the door? Yeah, and that's the challenge. And that's the challenge for our principals. And they're ready to meet that challenge with going and making sure that we get all teachers supported so they have the support they need. And yet, it's not really an option. It's not an option to decide whether or not you're going to teach what your state has adopted as the core curriculum. So slowly but surely, just like with the standards movement, I mean, a lot of you probably don't remember, but 15 years ago when standards first came out, oh my gosh, teachers, I don't know if we're going to... We don't have that right now with Common Core. Teachers are actually very excited about this because it's in direct response to what they've been saying forever. Hey, I'm teaching a whole bunch of facts, but I can't get to the real stuff because I got to move so quickly through these million standards. And now the standards have been distilled down to power standards. California led the way in that. And I think we're in a position to go deeper and have more complex learning. So I think this plays toward what teachers would really like. I think I'm taking a really long time here, so maybe I'll just take 1 or 2 more questions, and then I'd like to move it on because I really want you guys to hear from the leaders of your school.
So I have a question that hopefully will go from you, and then they can all address it individually as well. I agree that we live in a district that is very exciting when we can keep art, we can keep lower classrooms, we can keep music, all of these things. I think that's excellent. I think it's also an expectation of our community because being a unique community, we expect those things out of our school. So as much as I think that they are something to be celebrated, I think that the celebration needs to be tapered so that it's part of the expectation of why we work so hard to live here. So with Common Core standards being put in place, I think, bringing the teachers on, the teachers being excited, it sounds wonderful. I have 4 children. They are all totally different learners. I think this is going to fit very nicely into how they all differentiate themselves as individuals and as learners. So my question is this. What is the district looking at in the foreseeable future? You touched on wind and solar energy as something to bring into the discussion in science, English, all these things. Agriculture, global hunger. We have gardens at the elementary school, not at the high school and the middle school. We have music and art in the elementary schools, but yet it's a choice at the high school and not in transition to the middle school. What is the district, from a facility standpoint, from a tools of education, going to do to continue to make Laguna Beach above and beyond excellent? Because we take what we want for granted, what music and art for granted, science and things like that. How are we going to expand our thinking so that our kids, when they're learning critical thinking skills, have the tools in the schools to help them think outside the box? Because Common Core standards can still be taught inside a box. If you don't get the kids out of the classroom, out in front of technology, technology is huge. I fully believe that. I'm an Apple freak. I have, whatever is the latest and greatest. But that is not teaching our kids other issues that the global awareness needs to be. And Laguna is a very globally aware society. But our schools need to expand on that. The garden at Thurston, solar energy. We don't have wind turbines here. We don't have gardens in the higher schools where these skills can be brought into and create leaders as they enter college, not once they get to college. So what is our district from a facility standpoint looking at to take the core standards not only from inside the classroom, but get our kids outside to change, to expand what they're exposed to so that they can truly be leaders in a global society?
I can talk for about 3 hours. And I've only been here 10 weeks. But honestly, I could.
So what are you doing?
You make let them give the examples.
To everybody, but I think this is something, if you're implementing global standards, it's a perfect time to start saying, let's develop these other facility things, solar, wind, gardens. How are we going to address that? And where is that going to happen?
Collaborate.
Yeah, I honestly, I can't speak to the facilities issue right now, but I understand what you're saying, and I do think that there's a balance between what you can do, because you have to meet the A through G requirements for college entrance. So you're always having to prepare your students for college readiness, and yet there are things that you can do. The example I gave about wind energy is a unit that you could teach in your classroom. Whether or not you left the classroom, you could still teach a great unit on wind energy and understanding its applicability and how it works and how to calculate and how to use knowledge to calculate whether wind energy is an appropriate thing to use in certain areas. And so that was more my point with that, was that there will be these kind of holistic units that science teachers or whatever could use. Let me answer you, and then I really do need to let these guys
You know
go.
what, perhaps can we just keep our questions for right at the end after we've heard from everyone,
Except she
and
raised her
then...
hand like 5 times.
I just feel bad.
I'm sure this will be a quick question, hopefully. But regarding the core concepts, my kids are young. I've got two third graders and a fifth grader, so I've got time to work with this. But how do you see the universities and their process of their admission standards? Are they adopting this? I mean, it seems that is the way they teach more, but getting in, do you see this trend happening not only at the undergrads, but the lower learning, but also in the universities?
Let me just, and that is a quick question to answer. Remember, this is in response to what not only private sector says, but what secondary institutions are saying about students coming to college unprepared for critical thinking, unprepared to write across the curriculum. Are we going to change college professors from lecturers into these very participative, hands-on teachers? Probably not. Academia has its own process of how universities work. But what they expect kids to come in with is an ability to look at information, synthesize information, and to be able to use it and to be able to write about it. And that's their biggest comment about what they're seeing in terms of deficiencies from kids graduating, even from very high schools with very high grade point averages. So I think that the expectations that they have also contributed to the development of what the key concepts and skills that the Common Core seeks to address and to shore up. And I do think it will be something that will improve, from the college professor standpoint, the quality of high school graduates across the country. Okay, I need
I don't know if I'm going to need this. Can you hear me in the back?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, very good. Good morning, everyone. And I would like to kind of change my presentation based on the questions that we've had and kind of jump right into some of the concrete examples, because I think that's what I'm hearing questions about. So the first thing is in professional development. We want to give our teachers the training and education they need to make a successful transition to the Common Core state standards. And so specifically, we've had 2 teachers at El Moro who provided a depth and complexity training for all the elementary school teachers in our school district. And that happened over the summer. So as Denny was saying, we're already kind of ahead of the game. And so all the teachers know what it means to take a topic or a standard and go into it in depth and complexity. And there are different ways to do that. They have little icons, little pictures that remind the students of deeper thinking, how to talk with other students about a topic. There's all kinds of them. I think there's actually 10 of them that they go through with the kids, and they can take a topic and talk more in depth about it and look at it in more complexity. The other thing that we did this summer and ongoing throughout the year is the teachers will be participating in a math training that's called Cognitively Guided Instruction. And that's that critical thinking piece that you guys were talking about. So it's not just how did you solve the problem, right? 3 plus 3 or whatever. How did you solve it? What was the thought process behind? What formula did you use? Where did you get that information? And it's amazing, a lot of us were taught that there was one way to solve the problem. But now in math, there are many more ways to solve the problem than just the one that your teacher taught you. And so we want to hear from those kids. Well, how did you get? Well, you got the right answer, but you did it a different way. How did you solve that problem? So the teachers are being trained to actually look at the student thinking, to listen to the student thinking, and then look at the different ways that students can solve problems. So that's a little bit about professional development in the transition to the Common Core. The other thing is we've set some goals for our school this year at El Moro. We want each grade level to develop a Common Core unit. So it might span science and math, social studies and English, looking at those cross-curricular units. So by the end of the year, we've already got at least one unit in place that we can pilot and analyze and look at as we prepare for all of our units being like that in 2014. The other exciting ideas that I think we have, I just met with the California State Park. El Moro is so fortunate in so many ways. We're right next to Crystal Cove State Park, which has just been redone, and it's a beautiful facility. And the Community Alliance over there, the Crystal Cove Alliance, I should say, they are building an environmental nature science outdoor classroom over there by the parking lot. And so, to me, that's an exciting idea where they will have a weather station. And our students can go over there and take measurements. They can measure the wind speeds. They can measure precipitation. They can look at erosion. They even have traps in the little creek there. Apparently, I didn't know this until yesterday, there's an invasive African frog in the creek that competes with the indigenous frogs there in the park. So they're actually trapping them. We could count them. We could see how many African frogs there are versus native frogs. There's a whole plethora of ways to do that. So yes, we have a garden, but that's just one tool. You have to utilize the resources in the community and in our state to bring those outdoor education experiences to life. So I think there are several ways of doing that. In language arts, there's going to be more of a focus on nonfiction. Right now we have rich fiction-based curriculum. There's going to be more of a focus on nonfiction and kind of those how-to guides. If you've ever tried to hook up your computer, or you get a new TV and you want HD, right? And you see that big thing that comes out of the box, and you have to figure out where all the wires go and the how-to and all that. A lot of that for our kids as well, so they can take that information, do something with it, and come out with a product. Technology is also going to be a big tool, and I think we have an exciting opportunity at El Moro in that we have lots of technology. We have smartboards in the classroom. We just started with World Book Online, so it's a resource. It'll be linked to our web page, so all the students can go on the website, link to World Book Online, and research and have resources. We have carts that we share amongst grade levels, 30 classroom laptops. They go around to each of the grade levels in grades 3 through 5, and students can access Success Maker, they can, which is a math and language arts program, help support the core curriculum. And they can also do research. They do all sorts of things on those laptops. iPads are an exciting idea, and they're coming. We have a class set of iPads that we're going to pilot in 5th grade at both Top of the World and El Moro. And I would like to thank School Power and Mr. Martini for that. I think they're instrumental in making that happen at our school. Thank you, Brent. Like I said, I went out of order. Positive behavior intervention and support. So the atmosphere on campus, what are we doing to address that? And we've had positive behavior intervention and support for quite a while here in Laguna Beach. And it's changed a little bit at El Moro. In the past, it's been respect, responsibility, and kindness. And for 10 years, we've been using that as the school-wide expectations. This year, we changed. It was getting a little stale, especially for some of the upper graders and for the staff as well. And so we decided to make a change. Not that the atmosphere was bad, but we needed to change our focus a little bit and make it more applicable for the students in society today. And what I mean by that is, there's been a huge media attention on bullying, and of course we want to extinguish those behaviors from our campus. So our new slogan is El Moro Sea Lions are stars, and STARS stands for Strive for Excellence. Think about others. Always try your best and follow the rules. Respect people and things, and solve problems. And that's the big one. Because what we found is that, and no offense to anyone here, that everything was being classified as bullying. Or everything, my son was bullied on the bus, my son was bullied at lunch, my daughter was bullied in between classes, whatever it might be. And sometimes that might be the case, but most of the time, they were having a problem or a conflict that needed to be solved. We looked at our data, and really, it was just a one-time thing where, we bumped into each other in the hallway maybe, and, you took my book or something like that. We just need to resolve that conflict in a peaceful manner. And so we've had grade level assemblies with all of the students, and we've also taught them how to be upstanders and not bystanders. So if I did run into you in the hall and we dropped our stuff and I took your book, hopefully somebody would say, wait a minute, that wasn't right, that belongs to her, instead of watching or encouraging us to have this conflict. So we want students to be upstanders. And we had grade level assemblies, as I said, training the students on how to do that. At TOW, they have Rachel's Challenge. Are you going to talk about TOW? Or
whatever you like.
Which really focuses on kindness and compassion. So what can the students do to make the campus a kind and compassionate place? Well, yesterday at the PTA meeting, Shireen said that I undersold the test results. But after listening this morning, I'm very excited about our test results. They'll be public in October.
I meant that in a nice way, Chris.
I know you did. I know you did. And we are going to celebrate because it's important that we take time to celebrate success and not just keep our heads down all the time. focus on moving forward. Our teachers are excellent. They do that naturally. So I do think it's important that we take time to celebrate. Yes, Cheryl.
I wanted to make a comment with the new program at El Moro, the STARS program that you guys are implementing. I have a 4th grade daughter at El Moro. And along with that, learned at back to school night that there was a contract that you had them sign that went in depth about the STARS program. Is that
correct?
So this year, Caitlin has been getting up on time for school, getting her backpack ready, getting out the door on time without being cajoled into doing it, coming home, getting her homework out, doing her homework, and I was so amazed, like she's just being so responsible. And I was praising her, saying, Caitlin, gosh, I'm so impressed with you this year. She said, well, Mr. Duddy had me sign a contract. It really made such an impact. So thank you, and I really praise the changes in what you guys are doing is fabulous. So
I appreciate that, and I appreciate Caitlin taking it so seriously. We did have, after the assemblies, the students then went back to their classrooms, and each of the teachers read them a literature-based story about doing the right things, showing compassion, what a school looks like without bullies and things like that. And so after they read the story, they signed what we called the promise, and it's the behaviors that we want to see to make our school a better place. And so each of the grade levels and classes did that. And I also asked the parents to sign the compact at back to school night. Just as wrapping up, looking out amongst the audience today, we couldn't be El Moro and what a fabulous school I think we are without our community partners. And so, Carrie, I wanted to thank you for being our webmaster while Sam was a student at El Moro. I'm in the process today, as a matter of fact. Right now, as we speak, someone's being trained to take over for you. We've had a little void there. We're trying to do our best. Our website, we really want to keep it up to date and make it a resource for parents so that it can really be an interactive website. The Boys and Girls Club is here, and the Boys and Girls Club has been a tremendous support. I really think that I'd like to compliment them on the growth they've shown in the time in the 9 years I've been principal. We're really in touch with the schools and the community and providing the support that the parents need and a safe place for the students to play, learn, and while they wait for their parents to get off work and pick them up. Not done yet. Mr. Flores, I appreciate your kind words, and I do. I love when people actually give compliments to us. We love that.
You're good at compliments.
Right? We're teaching the kids to be kind and compassionate, right? So we like that. I do want to thank all the parents from El Moro for being partners in education with us, and it does make us a better school. So thank you very much.
I'd like to give you a compliment. Thank you so much for the opportunity to follow you. I actually thought I was busy. I'm coming on the heels of our 6th grade science camp night last night. So let's just get this clear. We have 285 6th graders, 255 confirmed going to science camp, 55 chaperones. It's like a 3-to-1 ratio over there. 3 adults to 1 kid, almost. No, not quite. So we have that underway, and we had a great night last night with our 55 chaperones. We had a parent meeting for them, and then we did an all-parent meeting, and we are looking forward to sending all the students, all the 6th graders, to science camp.
That's because you want your lunch tables back.
Okay, so at Thurston, we're focusing on 2 major goals this year, and one is the transition to the Common Core state standards. And we're doing a great job by focusing our trainings so that they line up with our Common Core. In fact, in December, we're sending a team of 8 teachers to Anita Archer, who's an outstanding presenter, focusing on best first instruction. Our teachers are excited about it. A group of teachers have gone before. We value this presenter. I'm excited for those teachers to come back and share out with the rest of the staff. At Thurston specifically, to help us transition to the Common Core state standards, we do things, we believe in value-added, lasting implementation. So that we have, you've probably seen it in our weekly wave, our smart words of the week. It's increasing their academic vocabulary. It's our writing across the curriculum. Each 6, 12, 18 weeks in the semester, we do writing reflections based on their progress reports, or the report cards. So each department takes a turn, and for instance, when it's math's turn, they talk about writing their GPA, averaging it out, where they feel like they are, where they feel like they should be going. And PE, when they took a turn, they talked about citizenship. So the kids are given a writing reflection. In science, our labs are doing an amazing job with their hands-on activities and their writing in science. And one of our big goals this year during PLCs will be to unpack our current state standards with the Common Core standards. So we're looking at it, for instance, in language arts. This is what we're currently teaching in 6th, 7th, or 8th grade. This is what we need to be looking at. Is it in the right grade? Are we doing the right thing? And our teachers are excited and focused and honestly energized to be looking ahead because we're in a great place right now at Thurston. We share those kind of conversations from our PLCs back out at our group meetings, at our cross-curricular meetings, and our Smart Bites. So all of that is happening academically, and we too cannot wait to share our scores, our test results. That's all happening academically, but one of our other goals on campus is our multi-tiered systems of support. And that combines the RTI program and our PBIS program at Thurston Middle School. And we are really, I'm really proud of all the hard work that we do to support all kids, behaviorally, academically, and socially on our campus. Our job is to find out who needs an extra scoop of support, of love, of attention, and to find out what that scoop needs to be, identify it, and provide it for them. And then evaluate it as the year goes on. In fact, one of these things that we've been doing for these first, 3 weeks of school now, and that we're looking forward for the next 3 weeks, so in our first 6 weeks, is to focus on the transition to middle school. Not just for the 7th and 8th graders that are coming back, but for the new students that come to Thurston, and for our 6th graders. So coming to middle school is difficult when you're a new student to the district. A lot of these kids have known each other forever, and that's something that we've worked hard on supporting them. In fact, starting the first day of school, and on Tuesday and Thursday, from each of the weeks for the first 5 weeks of school, we have a new student luncheon where our ASB and our PALs and our leadership kids host a luncheon in a room, and it gives the new students a home base to be during lunchtime. It's a really difficult thing to do when you're new to a school, to find out where you're going to be hanging out. So this gives them a home base. They don't have to be there. A lot of lasting friendships have already been made, and the kids are finding out different places to be on the campus during lunch. We've also been working with our 6th graders. One of the big things we want to do is we understand the transition from elementary to middle school can be difficult, and we've worked hard as a staff to come up with a 6 for 6. Everywhere on our website that you see a green 6 or around the campus, it's important information for your 6th grader. And what that means as a staff, we've agreed to be really clear with our 6th graders about what it means to be there and ready. Being in their classroom when the bell rings with their necessary supplies. We leave in the planner. Using the planner is a great organizational tool and tip. The binder, every Monday of, the first Monday of every month is our Binder Awareness Day. Now this might seem small to you, but this is a big deal to us at Thurston to make sure that their binder is organized and neat. All our 6th grade teachers have a website or a blog to help support you, the parents, and or the kids when they come home. And one of the things I'm most proud of is our online worksheets. So if a student is absent or the worksheet didn't make it home, they can go online. The teachers have scanned the worksheets and they're there for the kids at home. And then the green 6. Everywhere you see the green 6, it's information pertaining to 6th graders. We also went in to make sure that it was a smooth transition for all students. Mr. Modir, our assistant principal, Mrs. Morrissey, our counselor, and Mrs. DeMarc and I went into all English language arts classroom. So that is 25 classes that we go in, take about 10 minutes, introduce ourselves, and talk to the students about all the supports on our campus and how our expected behaviors, our smart behaviors on our campus. It's a great way for us to connect with them on a 30 to 4 basis. We find it difficult to put all 6th graders into a big assembly. We'd like it to be smaller. We want them to know who we are so that we can support them during their time at Thurston. We have a lot of great activities. We were sitting down one day and we created a calendar of all the positive activities that are happening over the next 5 weeks on campus, starting with Club Rush next week. So each day We will have announcements, and clubs will have the opportunity to showcase during the announcements what they are offering during the school year for our kids. We encourage the kids to sign up for clubs and participate because there's so many great things going on. On October 8th, Mr. Modier is going into all the PE classes, similar to what El Moro and Top of the World does, talking about being an upstander, about this is what's important, these are our expected behaviors, this is what Thurston Smart students do. And I love the way it piggybacks onto the elementary because it's all age appropriate and it's all tailored to fit our individual needs. On October 10th, we're wearing orange on our campus, October being Bullying Prevention Month or Bullying Awareness Month. And we are going to wear orange in solidarity, supporting all of our students on campus. We're focused on Red Ribbon Week towards the end of October with a chalk drawing that we're going to do on our campus. And we are looking forward to, along with the support of Boys and Girls Club, starting a program at lunch where we have some organized activities for our 768, not all 768, I don't want to scare you guys. But an organized lunchtime activities. We're going to have a game room and then some organized things going on in the gym. And while that might seem like it's simple to you, it's a really big deal at the middle school during lunchtime. So we are so appreciative of Boys and Girls Club. Thank you. Just like at El Moro, our SMART program, where we expect all our students to solve their problems, make good decisions, achieve, respect, and there and ready, we're always looking at ways to refresh it, to give it a new energy so that the kids are not feeling like, oh yeah, I've heard it, I've been there, done that. This year, thanks to PTA's support, we have more drawings with more students being recognized on a weekly basis, and we're really looking forward to that. So the kids are excited. We're doing a survey with our 8th graders. What is it that you're interested in? How can we best support you with our SMART program? What would make you want to be part of it? So that's something we're focusing on. And I think that's it. And one more thing, if we're all going to shout out and give compliments. You can come out. I was going to talk about your dress, though. But I just want to say thank you so much to Peggy. I won't say her last name, but Peggy. And our PTA has been incredible in supporting us, and we've already ordered picnic tables at Thurston, so that is going to be great. So thank you to our PTA.
The Jenny Joanne show has been separated.
It's not the same.
That's still the same. And sitting there and listening to Chris talk and Jenny talk and knowing what's going on at Top of the World, I'm real proud to see the transition. Can you all hear me?
Sorry, I'm just...
Maybe.
Don't mind me.
Something I said. Is to see the transition between the three schools. And we are, everything that Jenny's talking about with the multi-tiered systems of support, I'm going to touch on it. You see the transition moving forward. At the end of last year, our 9th grade biology teachers met with the 8th grade science teachers and talked about how to make sure that the students are going to be prepared. We identified incoming 9th graders with the biology classes, so we've done that, and we're meeting as a PLC. But to address the Common Core at the high school, I'm just sitting there kind of like, you can see the kind of the notes as I started with, and I've started writing notes all over my page, because we've done, we're not there yet at a high school level. It's very different at a high school level, and we're not there yet, but we've done a lot to prepare for the Common Core. Last year, starting in September of last year, our English teachers and our social science teachers met on a regular basis, and we have completely changed our pacing guide so that our literature in English is aligning with what the students are learning in their history classes. That was a huge, that was Gibraltar. Let me tell you about it. I mean, that is because, you know, secondary teachers are very strong about their curriculum. As Danny already mentioned, you've got A through G requirements, you've got kids taking AP classes, and that was monumental for us of aligning the pacing guides between the literature and the social studies. The other thing is our physics teachers, our science teachers. I was at the PLC last Friday, and they have developed a kind of an assessment so that kids can identify how they learn. And how do they perform in labs? How do they perform with working with each other? And actually, one of our physics teachers put it online. She asked the students to take out their phones, and probably all students but 3 were able to take their assessment right there on their phone, dump it into the database, and she was able to pull it up with all the other science teachers about of how they were assessing themselves on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on how they learn and what they do in labs. And then the science teachers actually did the same thing with their students, and then we're having conversations with the kids about the differences. Like, hey, I see you as as a strong leader in a group, but you only put yourself as a one in a group. And so, one-on-one conversations, that's part of that Common Core that we are talking about. The other thing is with our algebra, with our math teachers, they attended a workshop this summer that I actually sat with them, and they were learning how to take the algebra standards and kind of, as they were talking about, unpack them and put them into the Common Core standards. Frustrating for the calc teachers because they were working with the algebra, the algebra standards, but actually learning how to unpack it and put it into a Common Core concept. So they have done that. I attended an English Common Core with the English teachers last year. Are we there yet? No, but we're looking at the writing. We're looking at taking the Common Core with the literature and the reading. Last year, getting ready for this, we did a PLC with Saddleback College. Saddleback Dean actually came, Dr. O'Connor came into our classes, sat in all of the English classes and scripted some ideas back to the English teachers. That's huge. That's huge in a high school setting. And then he came in and he met, we had a luncheon and he met with the teachers. And then our English 12 teachers actually went to Saddleback College and sat in on their writing classes. So there are things happening with the Common Core, and the high school has embraced it. As I said, we're not there yet, but we are already starting to do things to prepare ourselves for Common Core. At the beginning of the year, talking about Common Core, Courtney Robinson is our new assistant principal. We actually found a thing on with Angry Birds, and showing how you could use Angry Birds with kids, and then I had all the teachers every different from PE to foreign language, talk about how they could incorporate that little clip into their lesson using Common Core standards, and it was just really a fun lesson using just Angry Birds. So that was good. When you take the level that we are at the high school, and we do very well, obviously college to career is a key component for the high school. It's building on what is happening at the elementary schools and the middle school at the high school. I feel very fortunate that I've been at all three levels, and you see the transition. We have 28, close to 29% of our students who attend a two-year college. We have 65.7 exactly students who attend a four-year college. That's 94% of our students who attend a 2- and 4-year college. And we have about 3.5% who attend other institutions, technical, arts. So our students are using that college to career readiness piece. When our students take the CASE, the high school exit exam, 96% of our students pass it in math the first time, and 98% of our students pass it in English the first time. So that's a high percentage. And then for the students that do not pass it, then we provide support. Then you have the other end of the AP. We had 227 exams that were given for AP last year. Now, and then we have 270 AP students. And then we had 234 of those 270 students pass it with a 3 or higher. And for AP, you get a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. A 3, 4, and 5 is a pass rate. So at the high school, we are 89% pass rate for our kids taking AP classes. That is another huge statistics for us when you take a look at the trajectory. Last year we were on the AP honor roll. I'm the only other school, there are only 2 schools that actually received that honor, because you want the number of students taking the test and the number of kids passing the test to stay the same. You don't want to exclude certain students because you don't think they're going to pass the test, and that's what some high schools do. All of our students that take an AP class, for the most part, are expected to take the AP exam, and that's a big deal. All of our students, thanks to the support of the PTA, on October 10th, all of our 11th graders are going to be taking the PSAT test. Last year, we did very well. We had 13 of those students that took it last year that are possible semi-merit scholarship possibilities down the road. Last year we had 1 student. This year we had 13. Then we have 3 that go on to the next level. So we have students that are excelling. We also have students that are struggling at the high school. And if you hear what Jenny was talking about with the multi-tiered systems of support, this is another large accomplishment for a high school. And we started it 3 years ago with the RTI and putting in multi-tiered systems of support. through the data on struggling students at the high school and the number of students that were receiving D's and F's, the number of tardies, the number of absences, we incorporated what was our multi-tiered systems of support. And what that means is that we have added an English support for 9, 10, and 11, and 12, and also a core academic skills class for 9, 10, and 11, and 12. Last year we went into the, we put together our team, they went back to the departments, we asked for names of struggling students, they gave the names back to us, we spent 4 hours looking at where to place those students on data. Now we have students sitting in core academic skills class, which is not a study hall. We have slowly but surely put study hall out of our master schedule because it's just a place for kids to kind of hang out and get the latest iPad conversations of what's going on with music. It needs to be academic. So we have a core academic skill class for 9, 10, 11th, and 12th graders. It is a curriculum. They're focusing on areas of improvement for those students. So we're matching the problem with the intervention. So it's an intervention class. We've also set up a system where teachers with this multi-tiered systems of support, and our board is going to hear about this on the 25th because it ties into our WASC. Teachers can go into a Google Doc and actually go in and put in a name of a student that they have concerns about. So we are developing this multi-tiered systems of support. The other large thing on our campus is our PBIS program. Our acronym is PRIDE, our problem solving. We have aligned our ASB class and our PALS class, second period, so that the ASB, our student leaders, are working with our PALS. I sat in with them last week and watched the movie called Bullied, watched it with them, participated in the discussion with them, the concerns that they have on our campus about bullying, where the PALs are actually looking at finding kindness and they're looking at ways to show it on our campus. How you should hear the discussions with the ASB kids on how we're going to incorporate the anti-bullying, or not anti-bullying, but the bullying prevention. So we are working closely. Mr. Billinger, Mrs. Robinson went into every single classroom and started talking about our expectations, but the kids have really rallied around this, the kindness and the bullying prevention. And they have a lot of energy around this.
I was waving at Irene.
So waving at me?
No, I was waving
I
at
thought you
Irene.
had a hook and you were going to pull me off. You know, it's all about the high school, all right? Elementary, middle, up, no, I'm just kidding. That's what I always hear, it's all about the high school. So anyway, I know. All right, and last but not least, I just have to spend a couple minutes because if you're not, this is a preview to back to school night. Thanks to School Power, you keep hearing School Power, you keep hearing PTA. We have 3 wonderful new counselors at our school. I mean, raise your hand if you've had connections with our counselors on our campus. They are wonderful. They have brought to us, with the help of School Power, a program called Naviance. And what Naviance is Naviance is a web-based resource. It's like a personal online college into career planning, because that is one of our ultimate goals. And then it's linked to a program called Naviance Succeed. I was with the counselors yesterday, and you can actually, the counselors can log on to Naviance Succeed, and they can see what the students are looking at, and the students can actually go into Naviance and they can look at their college into career planning. This is how we plan to use it, and I wrote it down because it's so intense. We are going to be using it as college career planning, college planning, and called success planning. And just let me list what's in each one of those components. You've got career and interest inventory, you've got a personality inventory, you've got resume building, linking careers to college majors, college searches, college major exploration, scholarship, financial aid, personalized goal and task, journal entries, and student planning, all within this one web-based program. It's called Naviance. How we plan to use it with our freshmen. So our freshmen are going to have the counselors will be going in December with our freshmen to start their planning on December 6th and 7th. There'll be a parent night on the 8th. Soon, how many seniors, are you parent seniors? Any seniors in here? The counselors are going into the classrooms on Thursday and Friday. There's a parent night on the 27th. They're going to go in October for the sophomores and then the juniors. So this system is an online planning. They can do a scattergram, they can put in their interest, and it will shoot up every college that has that major. They can put in their interest, and it can show you what jobs, the salary of the jobs, and it all is this web-based program. We are in the process of rolling out this Naviance. And if you're in elementary and middle school, your kids are going to be just completely in line on using Naviance. Carrie?
Corona Del Mar uses it. My girlfriend's son just went into UCLA and she credits the program.
Yeah, we spent time researching this, and we actually went to a couple high schools and met with their counselors, all three of my counselors and I, and we met with their counselors and saw how they were using it, and it is going to change how we prepare kids for college and to career at the high school, without a doubt. Sherry?
Can you spell
Naviance, Naviance. So just in closing, I mean, that's going to be huge. And if those of you that were, as they say, Googling certain things, if you just put Naviance in and you see what it can do, the kids are going to have their own sign-in. Actually, seniors are going to be signing in for it. It's going to do community service hours also, and that's going to be a big thing. So it's just not the end all to the be all, but it's going to help do our jobs a lot.
Only high school students and you subscribe for high school, right? If you go on the website, you can't.
No, you cannot sign up for it. It's a web-based for our school, and the kids will be getting their codes and their access codes, and they'll be signing themselves up. They'll be doing the resume. The Common App will be all through there. It's all through the Naviance. So in closing, just bringing it all together, there's a lot going on at the high school. It is so much fun being up there. One of our special needs kids came up to me the second day of school, and she just said, "Dr. C, this is like Disneyland." Yeah, it is. I like it. A couple of the ninth graders, the counselors were out there with their laptops doing schedule changes, and the ninth grader was like, "This is like college," and I'm like, "Yeah!" So there's just a lot going on at the high school. We have our back to school night tonight at 6 o'clock. We have homecoming on October 19th. We have our home football game on Friday night. We are trying to make it a community event. Come between 5 and 6. We have 6 food trucks. Feed your family. Come to the game for free between 5 and 6. Get involved in what's going on at the high school. We have 40 clubs at the high school. Club Rush is coming up. It is a non-stop place to be. Thanks to our PTA, School Power, the community, and all the parents that are helping to support the high school. So thank you very much. That's my report.
Good morning. My name is Irene White. I'm your Director of Special Education and Student Services. It's a pleasure to be here. And I'm sure you feel the energy, obviously. I feel their energy. I know that we're not able to talk a lot about test scores today, or the intent was not to, but I have to share with you that our students with disabilities this past year are off the charts. Their improvement is incredibly significant, which certainly drives the district test scores up. I'm not saying all kids didn't do well, but our students with disabilities did exceptional well. And I want to attribute that to a variety of factors. One is the partnership that we have with our families. I mean, I sit in many of our IEPs, and the conversation we have about really looking individually at students and trying to figure out what's going to work is the number one factor. We have exceptional special education teachers in our district, and I'm proud to report that. They think outside the box. They're implementing programs with fidelity. We're bringing in the experts who write these programs to help us troubleshoot problems. That's how we spend our money. To me, that's a good use of our tax dollars. We're doing everything in our power to try to teach our kids basic skills so they can access those general ed classes. One of the shifts that we've made within our district is blurring the lines. Blurring the lines, blurring the lines, blurring the lines. I think I coined the term for us, right, guys? Yeah. We no longer have special education kids in separate classrooms, isolated, teachers not working collaboratively. When we talk about the shift to Common Core standards, our special ed teachers are part of those conversations. We work with all of our kids to make sure, or all of our families and kids to make sure that they can all be successful and try to maximize their potential. When we talk about blurring the lines, we have our instructional assistants going into regular classes to support kiddos. And we do that not just to support our kids that have identified needs, but to support all children that may have an issue, whether it's with attention and needs redirection, whatever it is. So anyway, I'm kind of all over the place. Test scores are great, so I wanted to highlight that. In addition to that, I wanted to Just piggyback on what's been said earlier related to our use of technology. We're definitely doing a lot of experimenting within my department. Victor has been wonderful. We've got iPads in place. We're now going to be looking at handhelds for our older kids and shifting those iPads to the younger students, because those high school kids and middle school kids have those smartphones anyway. So why not use them to help them learn and grow? We continue, we're going to be writing a new transition partnership grant. If you may or may not be aware, 3 years ago we wrote to the Department of Rehab and we were funded. This provides our kids with an opportunity to develop workability skills. You probably see them, many of our children out in the community. We're able to get them jobs, we're able to pay for them to work so that they get a variety of experiences, which will help make our children much more employable as we move forward. In addition to that, a shout out to Lisa Vanderbeek, who's in the audience. We have an amazing parent mentor program. We've done training. Our parent mentors reach out to new families who have been their children have been identified special needs for them, and Lisa's been a tremendous value. We've expanded that. We do our own coffee talks, not coffee break, not coffee connection, but coffee talks, where we're trying to link parents that have children with autism, let's say, or parents who have children that have ADHD, grouping them together, providing them with opportunities to connect, talk about concerns, support each other, bringing speakers, etc. And then one other thing that I'll highlight, and then I'll shift gears and talk about our Healthy Kids Survey and our drug alcohol prevention work that we're doing, is the social skills facilitation that we're working on. Previously, we gave a shout out to the Boys and Girls Club. We're launching a new program with them because it breaks all of our hearts to see outliers on the school playgrounds during recess time, where we know that they're not quite as connected as we'd like them to be. We're using our instructional assistants more to help facilitate social interactions, but we now have a new partnership with the Boys and Girls Club to bring their staff onto our campuses during lunchtime, and we're going to be launching this October 1st, and we'll have 2 staff at the middle school, 1 at TOW and 1 at El Moro, not to supervise activities, but again to facilitate increased social activity so that our kids can feel more connected. So that we've got a lot of things going on within special ed, and if you're ever interested in learning more, certainly my door is open, and I love to talk with parents about the work that we're doing. And I'll probably ask you to help me in some way, so be prepared for that if you do. Yes?
Quick question,
Sure.
just to sort of frame the understanding. How many students in our district fall into the special education category?
The statewide average is about 11%. We have about 9%.
How does that translate
So
into
about
a-
290 students within the district who are identified with special needs. Now keep in mind, that includes children that have speech and language impairments that may be coming in for articulation as a preschool child, and that would include children with more severe handicaps that may or may not be served within the district. We serve mild to moderate, and we work within a SELPA, which is Saddleback, for our kids that have more significant needs. So does that help with that piece? I'm going to shift gears and talk a little bit about the support services part of my job. I work with the school counselors, our school nurse, our school psychologist in an effort to support all of our children. One of our big initiatives, and the school board has been right behind this, is our work in the area of drug and alcohol prevention. We just got the results from our Healthy Kids Survey about a week and a half ago. And one of the things that I'm doing now is preparing for the board presentation on the 25th of September to reveal what the data is showing us. We continue to be very concerned about the drug and alcohol use among our adolescents within the district. Our Healthy Kids Survey this last year, we are definitely seeing some improved results, but I have to be honest with you. When I look at the data, and it tells me that 67% of our 11th graders drank a glass of alcohol in their lifetime, that concerns me. I mean, these kids are 16, 17 years of age. And I know I have lots of conversations with parents, and some people believe in a more permissive attitude that it's a rite of passage. I got to be honest with you, I don't believe that. Stakes are too high. So our data continues to show that our kids are using. So we're going to be drilling deeper into that data, and we are in the process of working on our new 3-year strategic plan, which is going to focus in on these areas that we're concerned about. One of the things that we're launching this year is our drug prevention curriculum. Years ago, we used to just focus in the 5th grade with the DARE curriculum. We've shifted away from that. We did some research, and we've now invested in a program called Botvin's Life Skills Training Curriculum, and we launched it last year in the 5th grade. This year, we are moving forward in grades 4, 5, 8, and 9. Grades 6 and 7, it's a little more complex because the sessions that are involved are very time consuming. So for example, in grade 6, we need about 16 times that we can meet with these groups of children. So trying to work with Jenny and fit it into their schedule is a conversation that involves just more than a few people. It involves the whole team at the school to figure out how we're going to make that happen. So again, this year we're implementing that training in grades 4, 5, 8, and 9, and it's been launched. Next year we'll definitely be up and running in 6th and 7th grade as well. So we're increasing our focus on educating kids about life skills. So it's not just specific to drug and alcohol use, but it certainly includes that. And it does it at age-appropriate times. Yes?
What was that in the program?
Botvin's, B-O-T-V-I-N-S. In addition to that, when we take a look at the Healthy Kids Survey, the 2012 data is telling us, although we're doing all these great things related to our PBIS work, character counts education, we still have some high numbers of kids that are reporting that they're not feeling as connected to school. So therefore, again, that connection with the Boys and Girls Club, we're doing this pilot, we're going to take some data, we're going to look and see if it's making a difference, and if it is, then we're going to increase what we're doing. So we've got some key plans, and certainly there'll be more information revealed related to the Healthy Kids data, but it's not a secret. We want to be honest about what it says. It's public information. We're going to be posting the Healthy Kids Survey results on our website soon after the board presentation, as well as our steering committee 3-year plan once we've had a chance to finalize that later this month. Questions? Yes.
Hi. The Botvin's curriculum for the health ecology class, that's a consumable that the kids are using.
There is a workbook.
It's
yes.
a workbook. So how are we going to assess the effectiveness of that at the end of the year, since it's a new year?
Well, we're going to be looking at the Healthy Kids Survey data to give us information related to attitudes, because what I learned about the Healthy Kids Survey is, we give it every 2 years. We have a grant that we've written that allows us to continue to do that. There's a module in there that we're going to be able to develop ourselves. So we're going to be able to create our own module to take a look to see if kids' attitudes are changing. Plus, with the other results, we'll be able to know.
Okay. Can we try and keep, I'm sorry, just because we're running so over time here, can we keep questions till the end, please? Sure. Thanks. We've still got a few more.
Thank you. Victor Guthrie, our Director of Technology.
Okay, I've seen some fading eyes in the crowd, and so if you'll indulge me for 1 minute, if you'll just stand up, stretch, do whatever you've got to do so that we can get refreshed, because I want you to be excited about technology. I'm excited about technology, and I want you to join me in that.
Victor, are you trying to tell me that the fading eyes were in my
No, I'm not. I think it was just the warmth of the room. Everybody's just getting into that nap phase. I have a little ADD. All right, everybody feel good? Legs working? All right. Cool. My name is Victor Guthrie. For those who don't know me, I've been in this district for 7 years, going on my 8th year. This is my 6th school district. I've got a bachelor's in information technology, an MBA in international business, and a doctorate in educational leadership. That means I've been in school for 22 years. I hope that means that I can also help head the technology in the district. I also want to inform you just really quickly that I come to technology not as your standard technologist, not as your standard geek. I don't wear a pocket protector. At home, I use very little technology. We have one TV, it's not hooked up to cable, and we never turned on. Now, we have a lot of computers. I mean, I am a geek. But we try to involve ourselves in social activities. We aren't all about the technology, right? And we want that same experience for your children, our students, right? We can fill the rooms with technology and let them go in there and they love the world and they know it. And we can put the barriers around it to keep them safe. But we miss a piece that's very important to them, and that's the social aspect. When we're talking about Common Core and we're talking about using information, how do I find that information? How do I validate the information source? How do I leverage it and synthesize it? And then communicate with it. Right? That's not done in isolation. And that's really what we're here to do, is to make sure that the technology works and that the safeguards are in place and that everything is functional when they need it and that the instructors have the ability to use it as an instructional tool, but really, it's just a tool. Right? That learning happens in multiple forms. Technology is just one of them. So I want you to know that when I start talking about technology and I have some great idea, I really want to go out and get some great technology that's going to make a difference, understand that it's not all about technology. It's just one aspect of it. So what are we doing? We're trying to blur those lines. So a student comes to us and they sit in the classroom for a number of hours and then they're off into their own world. Their world involves technology. And what we're working on this year and next, and it has taken off extremely fast, is blurring those lines between the classroom walls and the outside world. We're working on a blended learning environment where while they're in class, a lot of their content is online, which also is available outside of the classroom. And we have seen this take in so many teachers that we're starting to integrate other pieces of it, like our own professional development. So we have a curriculum that we're investigating for bullying, cyber literacy, 21st century learning skills, and it's called iSafe. We're really investigating this, and we've used our online classrooms to develop it. And we're using those online classrooms to train our teachers. And we've given it to the teachers to look at, can they train their students with this? Is this the right product for us? So I always get a question, how can I as a parent help my child? How can I keep them safe online? If you want to check out iSafe.org, there's an entire parent section which is free. If you find that that has exhausted itself after you've gone through it and want more, come to me. We have a license to give you, not to the entire world, but to our community, access into our learning modules. And so if you're interested in that, please see me. Please ask me about it. My door's open. I am the servant to all of you. My job is to make sure that technology works, right? That's the one job that I have. That's it for me. I am available afterwards if you want to have questions. I don't want to take everybody's time with it, so I'll hang around, but you already had your hand up.
I was just going to say my daughter does distant learning. They use iSafe, that's great.
Perfect. So thank you, and on your business.
Okay, let's go ahead and start on my walk because we're short for time. So, my name's Dean West. I'm Assistant Superintendent of Business Services. I've been actually with the district for a couple of years as the director. And Shannon Soto is our new Director of Fiscal Services, and since we're short on time, Shannon, do you want to step up and Shannon is going full steam ahead and is involved in our merchant services with IT and integration. And our hope is one of those deliveries is to get more and more online type of payments for you out there, and that's one of our focuses there. My background is I'm a CPA. My wife's a CPA too. I got a beautiful wife. I have 4 kids. My three girls are in 4th grade, 6th grade, and 9th grade, and my son is in 11th grade. So I'm right there in the heat of raising those kids and doing. My background, I have 10 years in school district, 10 years as a consultant serving and working with school districts. So my background is more problem solving, training, improvement. So whether it be moving those support roles along and integrating them, making them more effective, that's right along my line and alley. Also, our main goal, fiscal responsibility. That's my role. I tend to play more in a support role. I like to kind of be in the background, but when it comes, it's fiscal responsibility is our focus. From our side, the district has been real prudent, and revenues and expenditures, ongoing revenues and expenditures are right in target. And as we look forward to the future, and those are the measures that we kind of manage. The district is real strong. The environment out there for schools is tough. We have a couple propositions on the ballot. Right now, the state, for the reductions it has out there in California in public education, we as a school district take those same cuts that come through the state. We take them in a little bit different form, but right now that's accumulated to $1.8 million a year. It's over $6 million accumulated, and if the tax measure of the governor does not pass, then that's another $1.3 million immediate trigger that's already in law to take effect mid-year. And so that's my role is just kind of to have that transparency of what is the impact to us, always letting the stakeholders know what's our financial situation and how we deal with those kind of things. So the other thing that we've done during the summer is when we've refinanced the Crystal Cove CFD. It's a debt instrument that's part of the property development when that thing's developed. And although no revenues come directly to the district, it's just good government. It's one of the things that we did. They saved $2.2 million over the next 22 years on that area, and that's one of two debt services. So in 2010, we financed the GEO bond, which did a lot of our modernization, and that raised about $2.5 million that savings to taxpayers, because those are taxpayer initiatives. And this one is 2.2, and so real proud of that. It's one of those due diligence things that we do as a fiscal responsibility, and just wanted to let you know that. The other thing is talking to PTAs and parents. We have the school fees issue that came up a couple years ago, and it was on the desk for the governors to sign. He did not sign it, although there's legislation. The legislation's been significantly changed this year and modified, and it has been approved by the legislature. It's sitting again on different governor's desk, waiting to be signed. And so we come out with that general message that we appreciate all donations, that they are voluntary, and we appreciate the generosity of parents, and that those programs really don't continue without that generosity. And you can share in that message with us, and so that we understand when we're dealing, we have all these support organizations and support roles, that those donations are voluntary in nature, and they are very generous and appreciated. One of our members is not up here, our new staff member, Ted Dowdy, and hopefully he'll come back. And he's an outdoorsman. He's out. He has 6 people that he's leading in Zion right now in a climbing expeditions on his vacation days, and he's out had this lined up for a long period of time. But one of the things I did want to point out about Ted is his wife is a administrator of a charter academy, and she's going to Yale, but he's got a master's in organizational leadership. But his unique focus on the learning environment is what stands out a lot to me and what Ted. He really understands it. And one of his first roles was really to align with Victor on technology and what their roles they play in the facility side and in that classroom environment. And so he's a planner. He's a long-range planner. And so as a new member of the team, we'll be getting in there and looking at those long-range plans and what our facility needs are. But the scope of the classroom is just his keen awareness of too, and I think it's one of his good strengths. And he's a great addition as well to our team. So appreciate that.
Cannot say thank you enough. That was brilliant. Really very informative, wonderful, so much information. Thank you all for being here. I know that we've run over time, and so if anyone needs to run, please feel free to do that. If you have any questions, we can maybe open it up. Just a quick reminder, October the 17th, we're going to have Cindy Muchnick here. She's going to talk about a parent's guide to study skills and school success, how to support your child and help them navigate school. So thank you everyone for being here, and thank you. Any questions?